Welcome back, patreon.com/the Derrick Lamon Experience, your one-stop shop for gaming, news, music, film, all that good stuff. We're switching it up this week. This weekend, we are talking about the NBA All-Star Weekend. Now, these episodes air on Patreon's 2 p.m. on Sundays afternoon, and then they go to the free feeds the following Saturday at, I believe, like 9 or 11 a.m. or something. I don't know. The reason we're talking about the All-Star situation is because the NBA seems to have found itself in the same predicament as the NFL and basically Major League Baseball. A lot of people thought the NBA was All-Star fatigue proof, right? Because they had the three-point shootout, they had the dunk contest, they had the Rising Star game, which used to be the rookie-sophomore game. They had the celebrity basketball game. Kevin Hart, when he was like the hottest comedian on the planet, I think he won the MVP of the celebrity game like 2 years in a row, if I'm not mistaken. It's always really, really fun. The dunk contest, Blake Griffin jumping over Ikea, that was cool. Aaron Gordon had a pretty cool dunk one year. The year Dwight Howard won, he jumped over Nate Robinson. He put on the Superman cape, and a lot of people say that's where the beef between him and Shaq started because, Shaq likes to call himself Superman. Um, that was all fine and good and fun, right? But we're past those days. The dunk contest has been going on. It actually originated in the ABA, right? And the ABA hasn't existed since the 70s. We now find ourselves in 2025. So after Blake Griffin jumped over the goddamn Kia, like we've pretty much seen damn near every kind of dunk that could be done, right? So what kind of creativity can you bring to the dunk contest? Um, Steph Curry, probably actually by stats alone, is the most prolific three-point shooter of all time, right? So last year, Sabrina Ionescu, Sabrina shot the lights out. Steph still shot better, right? There's only so much you can do. Now we find ourselves in a position where we have fatigue at NBA All-Star Weekend, and this was the one that was the preeminent one. Now, if you remember, the Pro Bowl used to take place after the Super Bowl, and nobody watched at that point. So what the NFL did was move the Pro Bowl to the week in between the conference championship games and the Super Bowl. However, if you made it to the Pro Bowl and if you were on one of the teams that was heading to the Super Bowl, then you would not play in the Pro Bowl. Aside from that, before that, I think the NFC ran off like 13 straight wins or something like that. There was a time in Major League Baseball where the American League won like anywhere from like 11 to 13 straight. You can't blitz in the NFL Pro Bowl, and guys didn't want to do it. They didn't want to show up. It's like, who cares about going to Hawaii? Then they started having it at the Super Bowl site as well. That still didn't work. And then nobody gave a damn. So then they're like, we have the Pro Bowl games. If you remember, like back in the 90s, if you're a kid of the 90s, they used to have that NFL quarterback competition that would air like right before the preseason start. The Pro Bowl games isn't exactly that, but it's like, it's just a bunch of stuff nobody truly wants to watch, right? So then you look at the situation. I talked about a second ago how in Major League Baseball, I think the American League, like I said, it was like 11 to 13 games in a row that they won. The National League just could not get a win. And in fact, I remember the last National League win, I want to say, was Pittsburgh in 1994. And that is a month before Major League Baseball went on strike. And then it was looking pretty bad until McGuire and Sosa, the home run chase of the summer of 98, kind of brought fans back to the ballpark. But Major League Baseball, their All-Star game, which is called the Midsummer Classic, started to suffer. And we got to that one year where they ran out of position players because they tried to get everybody in the game. And in baseball, once you're subbed out, once you've been pitch hit for, or once you've been pulled for another pitcher, you can't get back into the game. So with that happening, they ran out of position players. And this is under Bud Selig's watch. He had to literally come out and say, hey, I don't have any more position players. So they played to a tie. Now, I remember the funny thing is, some people like lightly blame Torrey Hunter because Barry Bonds hit a shot to deep, I think it was like right center, and Torrey Hunter tracked the ball down and pulled it back from over the wall. That would have been the go-ahead run. And it was funny because, nobody thought this was like maybe in the first or second inning of the game. Barry's laughing and Tori's running in from the outside and Barry picks Tori up and everybody's laughing, having a good time. And then hours later, it's like, had Torrey Hunter let that ball go, this game ends. So what did Major League Baseball do? They instituted a rule that because before that, home field advantage in the World Series just alternated between the American League and the National League annually, right? American League this year, National League next year. So what Major League Baseball did was they stated the rule that the winning league would get home field advantage in the World Series. And like, I think the tagline was "This one really counts" or something like that. They used that for a while, but outside of the home run derby, and they even tweaked that and they did the celebrity softball game and all that stuff, they found all-star fatigue. The NHL, I remember when they went from the East versus West, Eastern Conference versus Western Conference before it was like the Prince of Wales and the Campbell Conference and stuff, all that. They took all those guys, Conn Smythe and the Norris and all those guys. They took those names off the divisions and off the conferences. I don't remember why. I think I think maybe they tried to open the game up to more novices who didn't know who these guys were. So one year they started doing the NHL versus the world. And then I remember, the NBA basically copied that formula. And it's like, I don't want to see all the European players or all the international players on one team and then all the US born players on another team, whether it's the NBA or the fucking NHL. I just thought that was really stupid. Just play it straight up, East versus West, American League versus National League, AFC versus NFC. We've run into all-star fatigue on every level. So the NHL split it into these 4 teams and you would pick the teams and stuff like that. Then the NBA was like, we're going to have captains like we're playing street ball and the highest vote getters. So LeBron has the most votes and KD has the second most votes. So LeBron's a captain and KD's a captain. And they get to pick their team. And it's like, this is stupid. This is absolutely stupid, right? You can do East versus West. What happened to the NBA All-Star game and All-Star Weekend was a little different. These guys would go out on Sunday night and do alley-oops and, Tracy McGrady, I remember, threw it off the backboard, caught it himself, double hand fisted. They're doing all these amazing dunks on Sunday night, but none of the top guys, none of the best dunkers in the league wanted to get in the dunk contest. Last time 2 guys did that, Vince did it and Kobe did it, and they both won. LeBron was practicing dunks, and then toward the end of the game, he's like, next year I'm in the dunk contest. And next year came and LeBron did not get into the dunk contest. So the dunk contest loses its luster because we've got a bunch of guys that you probably can't identify with. Mac McClung has won the last couple of dunk contests, and he's not even on an NBA roster. He plays in the G League. Nobody sees a problem with that. I just don't understand, it's like All-Star Weekend, NBA Slam Dunk Champion, who does not play in the NBA. He's in the fucking G League. That's a problem. And I don't understand how anybody can literally say, oh, no, this is perfectly fine. Because it's not perfectly fine. Somebody from the G League should not be participating in the dunk contest at NBA All-Star Weekend. That's crazy. So I'm looking at the schedule of events. I'm actually recording this on Friday night. It's Friday, February 14th. Obviously, happy Valentine's Day to all the lovers. Castro's Rising Stars practice on NBA TV and the NBA app. And that was at 11:30 Central Standard Time. Basketball Hall of Fame news conference. Congratulations to Melo and Dwight Howard for becoming finalists. Stay Melo. Ruffles NBA All-Star Celebrity Game. I was only going to watch because Bailey was in it. Bailey from WWE. I'm a huge Bailey mark. But I missed it because I was eating and then I started editing some other work. And then right now we have Team C versus Team T and the Castrol Rising Stars game, right? Team C versus Team T. That's game 1. Game 2 is Team G League versus Team M. And then game 3 is the winner of game 1 versus the winner of game 2. Why can't we just go back to the rookie versus sophomores? This is ridiculous. This is absolutely ridiculous. So then Saturday night, 1 p.m. in the afternoon, All-Star Media Day presented by AT&T on the NBA TV and the NBA app. They're so thirsty for round-the-clock content that they are showing us Media Day. The only league that ever did Media Day was media day at the Super Bowl. Media day Monday. Teams would arrive on Sunday. On Monday, they would go to the actual stadium. They'd have on their jersey and their pants, no pads, nothing like that, usually street shoes or something like that. And the most popular players would have their own little booth set up. Tom Brady had, upwards of like 100 people with media credentials around his booth. And then like the lesser known players would be in the stands and people would go up there with like, tape recorders and stuff like that and ask them questions. Uh, Deion Sanders famously, when he played for the San Francisco 49ers, making it to his first Super Bowl, showed up to media day in a Lamborghini. You know what I mean? The term media day darling was, drafted from that. So each league is doing this follow the leader thing, and none of them are being innovative. Um, NBA HBCU Classic presented by AT&T, Morehouse College versus Tuskegee. Well, that's actually cool, but it's only on NBA TV. So if you're going to give light to the HBCUs, it shouldn't be bogged down on NBA TV. It just shouldn't. 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, Commissioner Adam Silver news conference on NBA TV and the NBA app. And then 7 p.m. All-Star Saturday night. So we got the Kia Skills Challenge, the Starry three-point contest, and the AT&T Slam Dunk. I guarantee we're not going to see anything in that Slam Dunk that's going to blow our minds. Because again, Blake jumped over a Kia, right? And it's been years since that's been done. And I just don't know if anybody can, we've seen damn near every dunk. But we had seen I was young when Michael and Dominique went against each other. And they didn't do anything super crazy, super spectacular, but it's just the way that Mike and Dominique took to the air. It was like poetry in motion. I don't know if anybody has that. I just don't see it. And then, of course, Sunday, you have the NBA Legends Brunch at 1 p.m. Eastern on NBA TV. It's like they're just finding a bunch of BS content for NBA TV, and I don't understand it. G League up next, game presented by AT&T. That's at 2:30 in the afternoon. And then 74th NBA All-Star Game at 7 p.m. Now, here's the thing. It's not one single game. Game 1, Kenny's Young Stars versus Chuck's Global Stars. Game 2, Shaq's OGs versus Candace's Rising Stars. And the Game 3, winner of Game 1 versus winner of Game 2. They've turned the All-Star Game into some little mini BS tournament, and they got this from the NHL. And I'm not blaming the NHL. They did what they did, but the NBA did not have to follow suit. This is stupid. This is the same game where Kobe, coming off the 01 NBA Finals, the All-Star Game was in Philly, where Kobe's from, where Kobe lit the East up and took home MVP and got booed in his hometown, right? This is the same game where in Orlando, after months before announcing that he had contracted HIV, that Magic Johnson came out and put on a display and won All-Star MVP. This is that same game. Again, this is the same game where Tracy McGrady was starting to really, cement himself as one of the best players in the league, or trending that way, and then threw it off the backboard to himself. This is the same game where Michael Jordan, going into his last retirement, where they did the retro field, the retro jerseys, the old retro trophy. They had Mariah Carey come out and sing to Mike at halftime. And Mike put up what would have been the game-winning shot, and Kevin Garnett, who was having probably the best year of his career, said, yeah, that's cool, but watch this. And then Garnett hit what actually was the game-winning shot and won the All-Star Game MVP, right? I just, 75th and 75th all-time NBA 75 team a few years back. A lot of them getting together for the first time since Kobe, since we lost Kobe Bryant. And the NBA's just made a mockery of it. And I'm not blaming the NHL, because if it works for the NHL, that's awesome. That's a different that's a different situation. The NBA was the last of the preeminent all-star festivities, and they've just thrown it all the way the fuck out the window. And I just can't get down with this. And I have no doubt by the time you guys see this again, if you're a patron, you'll see this at 2 p.m. on Sunday afternoon. I got to say, I don't expect to be overwhelmed. I don't expect to see anything that's going to blow my mind. If I do, then I will concede the point and I will come back and I'll eat crow, but I just don't see it happening. Point blank period. I don't care what anybody says. But Yeah, man, I feel like sports in the United States has lost its way with the advent of streaming and social media and stuff like that. Everything is for clicks and clips and stuff like that. And we don't celebrate moments. Marvin Gaye singing the national anthem at the All Star game. And Marvin Gaye's been gone since I was, basically in diapers, but that's a moment. Um, Again, Magic coming out of retirement, Mike's first All-Star game back after, his first retirement. Mike jumping from the free throw line, which cemented the Air Jordan 3 as like the it sneaker. And then the Jordan line went on to be the biggest thing since sliced bread when it comes to shoes. Stuff like that happened at the All-Star game. You know what I mean? And we're just not getting that. We're not getting that. And I just feel like there's all-star fatigue in every single one of the major sports leagues. The NHL has all-star fatigue, and I think that's why they did the four nations face-off thing. The NBA is clearly suffering from all-star fatigue, and the NFL, they might as well just like pick the Pro Bowl team and give guys a free trip to Hawaii, but don't go down there and do that stuff. Like I thought it was ridiculous when they actually played the game and you couldn't blitz, and it's just gotten worse at this point. So I think that all leagues are suffering from fatigue. Um, Major League Baseball is literally the last league that holds still a traditional all-star game, American League versus National League. You have the gala, you have the home run derby and stuff like that. And now they actually give the players more time off for all-star break. But I don't know. This is really, really sad. And I used to be super amped for all-star weekend. This is the first year I'm like, maybe not no, it's not actually the first year, but this is the first year I'm really looking at things and saying, this was not supposed to happen to the NBA. It shouldn't have happened to any of the leagues, but definitely not the NBA. So I don't know. Let me know what you guys think. Sound off in the comments. Um, Tell your friends, patreon.com/the Derrick Lamon experience for exclusive content. I'm going to end this like I end everything else. Believe in yourself first and foremost, because if you don't believe in yourself, of course, somebody else will believe in you. As always, my name is Derrick Lamon Jackson. And ladies and gentlemen, that is my time. Y'all have a good one. Peace out.